All right, enough for the plug. Let me ask Ed Rollins, because controversy seems to follow you around. Romney said all day today that you had said that you'd like to knock his teeth out, but you shouldn't touch his hair. Did you want to knock his teeth out?
It was taken out of context. I used to knock a lot of people's teeth out. I was a boxer 40 years ago. I'm an old man now, and I basically what I wanted him to do was to stop his negative campaigning, and obviously that comment was meant that way. But more important, I think Mike Huckabee made the choice not to go negative. Mike Huckabee made the choice to continue in a positive vein, and I think that he overcame the negativism, and he got his message through by tremendous efforts, and I think he's to be commended for that.
Ed, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, but you're the subject of a blog on townhall.com tonight. Someone says they overheard you eating at a restaurant called Winston's. Let me ask you, first of all, did you eat at a restaurant called Winston's?
I did, in the tall, beautiful blonde that they're referring to as my wife. We snuck off to have a little lunch today, and obviously when you have thousands and thousands of reporters covering it, there was no one else in the restaurant but one woman at another table, and obviously she was the blogger, and she certainly sat down and took whatever we were saying. It was a private conversation between my wife and I.
Well, let me ask you, since she was right so far, let me ask you about a couple of things that you allegedly said.
She was right. I had carrot cake and I ate a rice sandwich.
Ed, it says that you talked about going negative in South Carolina and said, put some good in there if you have to with the bad. Do what you got to do. Did you say that?
Listen, it was a private conversation between my wife and I. I talked in terms that South Carolina is a different place. Well, once again, it was not for public consumption, and the reality is Mike Huckabee makes the decisions in this campaign. I don't. It is a more negative state. They're more used to those kinds of things. I was talking to her about where this thing goes. She's a political novice, and this is a whole new game to her. And I don't think that she expected to have our lunch, private lunch, with no one else in a private restaurant sitting there and taking notes at a Joyce and table.
Unfortunately, it isn't private anymore. It is all over the web, so I'm going to ask you one more question about it. It quotes you as saying that Rudy Giuliani is done, quote, has no money, and was hurt terribly by those police cruises with his girlfriends.
I'm happy to confirm that. Obviously, he has no money, and if you good reporters want to go talk to the Giuliani campaign, they'll tell you that they've been hurt and they're not raising money.
And what about his girlfriend?
You can't. Well, he had a girlfriend. It's now his wife. The issue was that he basically sent police cars out to take his girlfriend shopping and across the state, and I think a lot of people didn't like that, and I think a lot of people thought it was a misuse of public property and a misuse of office.
You know, there obviously were some bumps in the road over the last week or so, and understandably, because Huckabee has gone from the longest of long shots to now, one could say, perhaps the front runner in this race, the foreign policy mistakes.
Chris, there are also some very good things.
Let me just ask the question, and then you can answer it, sir.
Also, the fact that go ahead and ask the question. I'll be happy to answer it.
Okay.
All of you guys sat there and said he did. Well,
and also the negative ads that you made and then pulled. The question I'm just asking is, has he and have you learned anything from those, and will he be a more effective campaigner down the road?
We learn that the wise men who sit like you do and others and basically say a guy like Mike Huckabee doesn't have a snowball's chance in heck can still go out to the public and make their case. So all the wisdom doesn't live in Washington, and all the wisdom doesn't live in the press corps. We're very grateful for you giving us the opportunity to go talk to the public, but the public is ultimately who gets to make the decisions.
Let me just say, Ed, I could be accused of a lot of things, but we've had Mike Huckabee, and he's been happy enough to come on Fox News Sunday many times. We have been reporting his story every step of the way.
We're very grateful. We're very grateful for you giving us the opportunity to take our message across the country.
Ed, thank you so much. Congratulations again tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
Brit, back to you.
Well, Chris, thanks. It's always good to get an interview with a joyful victor.